Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namayam Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shmare Bhaktivedanta Vana iti namine. Namayam Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shishmad Bhaktivedanta Nara iti namine. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachirananda namine Gaura Shakti Jaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Om Vrindaya Tulasi Devaya Priyaya Keshava Sacha Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavate Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, my obeisances to my spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Sutra Shastri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Shri Goswami Maharaja Parang Gurudeva Nitile Pravistam Vishnu Pada Sutra Shat Srimad Bhaktivedanta Shri Goswami Maharaja Nitile Pravistam Vishnu Pada Shri Bhaktivedanta Shri Narayan Goswami Maharaja Só Shri Rupanga Guru Varga. My obeisances to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to all of you here who will also listen in the future. This online study of Sri Bhakti Tattva Vivek. So I'm sorry for the technical issues in the last live stream. Also, I had another technical issue. I was unable again to open the book here. I don't know why. It's supposed to be working, but it's not working now. So, we are on chapter 1, okay? Page 14. So at any moment, if anyone has any question, please just write in the comments. Hare Krishna, Lalit Mohini Didi. Any question at any moment, please write in the comment. Anything, okay? Just anything. If you haven't understood something or maybe a difficult word, please write it down. Okay. So we stopped in this following sentence. Absolute truth, realized exclusively through the process of bhakti, is called Bhagavan. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, the characteristics of Bhagavad Tattva, of God in his personal form, feature, are described as Paripurna Sarva Shakti Vishishta Bhagavan iti. Whoa. What is the meaning of that? The complete absolute truth, endowed with all transcendental potencies, is called Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After the creation of the universe, Bhagavan enters the universe through his partial expansion as the Paramatma, the Super Soul. So, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, he is situated as the Super Soul of the complete universe, Virat Antaryami. And as Kirodakashai Vishnu, he is situated as the Super Soul in the hearts of the living entities. Again, in direct distinction from the manifested material worlds, Bhagavan appears as the impersonal Brahma Swarup Tattva. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears as the impersonal Brahma Swarupa Tattva, as this effulgence. Hence, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the original Tattva, the original truth, and is the Supreme Absolute Truth. His Swarupa Vigraha, or intrinsic form is transcendental. The complete spiritual bliss resides in him. His potencies are inconceivable and beyond any reasoning. He cannot be fathomed by any process fabricated by the knowledge of the infinitesimal Jiva. By the influence of his inconceivable potency, the entire universe and all the living entities residing within it have manifested. Jivas manifesting from the Tatastha Shakti or marginal potency of Bhagavan become successful only by following the Dharma of engaging exclusively in his loving transcendental service. So for a soul, the only auspicious path, the only way to be successful is by engaging in transcendental service, loving service to Lord, Bhakti. Then, by the practice of Nama Bhajana, chanting the holy names, one can realize through mental eyes the unparalleled beauty of Bhagavan, of God. The processes of jnana, impersonal knowledge, and yoga are incapable of approaching Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By combining Bhagavad Tattva with Gyan, by combining Bhagavad Tattva means the truth about God, personality of Godhead, combining that with Gyan, which is knowledge, the Tattva appears as the formless and effulgent impersonal Brahma. And if he's seen through the yoga process, he appears as Paramatma, invested within his material creation. Bhakti is supremely pure. It is very painful for Bhakti Devi, the personification of Bhakti, to see the Supreme Personality of God in his lesser manifestations. If she sees this anywhere, she cannot tolerate it. So, remembering, God is one. The Supreme Absolute Truth is one, manifesting in three ways. Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So the people who approach him through Gyan, impersonal knowledge, they will see him as effulgence, Brahma. Those who approach him through the yoga process will see him as Paramatma, Super Soul. Those devotees, the devotees who approach him by bhakti, devotion, they see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is actually the origin, the Bhagavan is the origin of Paramatma and Brahma. Origin of the Super Soul and of the effulgence. Remembering that these other manifestations, means Paramatma, Super Soul, and Brahma effulgence, they are lesser manifestations of God, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of the Supreme Lord. Out of these three manifestations, Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, okay? These three manifestations of the Absolute Truth, it is only the manifestation of Bhagavan's personal form, Bhagavan, the form of God, which is the object of Bhakti. Yes. Okay? Devotion to Bhagavan, to the form of God. God in a form of a person. But even within Bhagavan's personal manifestation, there is one important distinction. Where the internal potency, Swarupa Shakti, displays its complete opulence, Aishwarya, there Bhagavan appears as Narayana, Vaikuntanath. And where the internal potency displays its supreme sweetness, Madhurja, there Bhagavan appears as Shri Krishna. In spite of being predominant almost everywhere, Aishwarya loses its charm in the presence of Madhurya, of the sweetness. In the material world, we cannot draw such a comparison. No such example is visible anywhere here. In the material world, Aishwarya, opulence, is more influential than Madhurya. But in the spiritual world, it is the complete opposite. There, Madhurya is superior and more influential than Aishwarya. Oh, my dear devotees, all of you just deliberate upon Aishwarya one time, and then afterwards, lovingly bring sentiments of Madhurya into your hearts. By doing so, you'll be able to understand this truth. Just as in the material world, when the sun rises and consumes the moonlight, similarly, when a taste of the sweetness of Madhurya appears in the devotee's hearts, he no longer finds Aishwarya to be tasteful. Srila Rupa Goswami has written, okay, so this point is very important. Whatever is higher, the highest things in this world, in the spiritual world, is the lowest, and the other way around, vice versa. So in this world, Aishwarya is very dominant, right? Everyone gives so much respect and sees with so much veneration, and everyone likes opulence, right? Luxury, money, opulence, be rich, all that. It's something very honorable in this world, right? Aishwarya. But Madhurya sing just like you're like a nobody, just the family member. People don't give so much importance. But in the spiritual world, it's the opposite. Madhurya is better than Aishwarya. Means seeing, in the case related to Lord, seeing Lord as a family member instead of seeing him as God, as a Lord of all the opulence. Srila Goswami, he said, Siddhanta tastu abhede opi Shrisha Krishna Swarupayo Rasanat Krishyate Krishna Rupam Esha Rasa Sthiti. This verse is very important. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Although from the viewpoint of Siddhanta, of the conclusive truths, Narayana and Krishna are known different. There's no difference between Narayana and Krishna. Krishna is superior. Well, even though they're known different, Krishna is superior because he possesses more ras, this transcendental taste of the relationships. Such is the glory of rasa tattva. All of this tattva, these truths, will be made clear later in this discussion. But for now, it is essential to understand that the favorable cultivation of activities meant to please Shri Krishna, Anukulyana Anushilanam, is the sole intrinsic characteristic, Swarupa Lakshan, of Bhakti. Thus, this confirms the same statement made in the main verse. Okay, so remembering this first chapter of Bhakti Tattva Viveka is going to speak about what is the nature of Bhakti. Okay, so the first chapter is the intrinsic nature of Bhakti. So if someone asks you, what is the intrinsic nature of Bhakti? Is Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam. Cultivation of activities, Anushilanam, that are meant for the pleasure of Krishna in a favorable way. Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam. This is the intrinsic nature of Bhakti. To remain both devoid of desire, separate from the desire to please Shri Krishna, anabhilashita, and free from the coverings of jnana and karma, jnana karmadena vritam, is the tatastha lakshan or marginal characteristic of Bhakti. Vishnu Bhakti Pravakshyami Yaya Sarvam Avapyate. In this half verse from Bhakti Sandarbha, the marginal characteristics of Bhakti are reviewed. Its meaning is that by the practice of the aforementioned Vishnu Bhakti, the jiva, the soul, can attain everything. The desire to attain something is called abhilashita. From the word abhilashita, one should not derive the meaning that the desire to progress in bhakti and to ultimately reach its perfectional stage is also to be rejected. Through my practice of sadhana bhakti, I will one day attain the stage of bhav. It is highly commendable for a devotee to maintain such a desire. But apart from this desire, all other types of desire are fit to be rejected. There are two types of separate desires: the desire for sense gratification, bhukti, and the desire for liberation, mukti. Rupa Goswami says, Bhukti mukti sprihajavat pishacha haridivatate tavat bhakti sukasyatra katam abhyudayo bhavit. Rupa Goswami Pad compares the desire for bhukti and mukti. Bhukti means sense gratification, mukti means liberation. They are compared to two witches. Witch, like a ghost. These desires are like two witches that remain in a devotee's heart. And if they are there, not even a fraction of the pure happiness derived from Swarupa Siddha Bhakti will arise. So, Swarupa Siddha Bhakti, what is the meaning of this? All favorable endeavors, cheshta, such as shravana, kirtana, smarana, hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on, as well as the manifestation of the spiritual sentiments which occur beginning from the stage of bhav, which are completely devoid of all desires separate from Shri Krishna, and which are freed from the coverings of jnana, karma, are known as Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. In other words, all endeavors of the body, words, and mind which are related to Shri Krishna, and which are performed exclusively and directly for his pleasure, without any intervention, are known as Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. So generally when you hear Swarupa Siddha Bhakti, you're talking about the real thing. Some people say like this. The real thing means like what Gurudeva is doing. The real Bhakti. When you're already there. When you have all the transcendental realization of your soul serving Krishna. You have the prem. You have all that starting from the stage of Bhav. So that's called Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. So there are 3 levels of Bhakti. In one way you can say. First, Aropa Siddha Bhakti means we're imposing. We don't have that realization, but we are imposing because of our faith in Guru and the Shastras. So we impose. Fake it until you make it. Have you heard this one? We impose. Second stage of Bhakti, Sangha Siddha Bhakti. By being in association of the pure devotees, slowly, good qualities will come to us. Good qualities which are very important and necessary for practicing Bhakti. Like purity, truthfulness, seriousness, faith, being faithful, mercy, doyal, pavitra, shaucha, satta shaucha, all these good qualities. So this is Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Then third stage of Bhakti, Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. Really attaining Bhakti. So here, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur is making a brief analysis of the verse that defines pure Bhakti, written by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. So I hope everyone already heard this many times and knows this very well, because this is very important. If you don't know yet this, he's saying here, I suggest you study again and read also, so that you can explain to others. So how do you know if you understood something? Is when you can explain. If you want, you can explain to me. You can send me a WhatsApp message explaining the first verse of the verse of Rupa Goswami that defines pure Bhakti. Anabilashita Shunyam. If you want, you can write to me. Send to me in the WhatsApp. If you don't have anyone, you can just send to me. I'll be glad to hear you. So we need to know how to explain this verse, huh? That's very important. The first line, Anabilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karma Dhanavritam, describes tatasta lakshan, means secondary. You can say, what is it? How you say in English? Secondary attributes of Bhakti, or external attributes of Bhakti, which is Anabhilashita Shunyam, devoid of any other desire than to please Krishna, and Jnana Karma Dhanavritam, not covered by Jnana Karma, etc. So this is tatasta lakshan. And then second line, Anukulyana Krishna Nushilanam Bhakti Rutama, then it describes Swarupa Lakshan of Bhakti, means intrinsic nature of Bhakti. So if any one of you who is hearing have some kind of a blockage with the Sanskrit words, Swarupa Lakshan, Tatasta Lakshan, I ask you to, maybe you can write to me, I can write to you this Sanskrit words, or you can also read, of course, in Bhakti Viveka, and also in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, which is very important to know this, because this is the verse that defines Bhakti, right? So we have to practice Shuddha Bhakti to be able to attain Prema. So we must know what is that. And the verse that best defines is this one by Rupa Goswami. So we must know how to understand and explain. So if, like I was saying, what is the meaning that you understood this explanation? You have to be able to explain with your own words. And of course, using also the Sanskrit words, that means you understood. It is actually simple, but some people maybe have some blockage. You say, like a little bit not being familiar with the Sanskrit words or the way to explain, then it might seem difficult. But it's not that difficult. If you put step by step the information, is actually very logical. You can understand. So example now, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur is explaining first part of the verse, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, which is the first term, which means devoid of desires rather than bhakti, right? So, but he's saying here something very important. Oh, so I shouldn't want to advance in bhakti. No, that's okay. You must have this that desire to advance in bhakti, to attain that love for Bhagavan. You should have that desire. That desire you should keep. So when you say Anabilashita Shunyam, is devoid of any other desire than giving happiness to Krishna. But of course, the day you have bhakti, that day you'll be able to really give happiness to Krishna, right? So to want bhakti, that's not having any other desire. That's a good. In that case, you should have that desire, because that's also desire to give pleasure to Krishna. Do you understand? So he was saying this here, and then he said also, what are these other desires? It can be categorized in two: bhukti and mukti. Bhukti means sense gratification. Mukti means liberation. So he's saying, that both, page 18, whoever has the book, page 18, okay? Both bodily and mental enjoyments are considered bhukti. So what is bhukti? This is Sanskrit word bhukti. Bhukti. Means sense gratification, we explain in English words. Bodily and mental enjoyments are considered bhukti. So not only something, many kinds of sense gratification. We are so much engrossed in sense gratification that sometimes we don't even recognize how we are. Like some things we can straight away know, okay, this is sense gratification, but some things are very subtle and we don't realize it's sense gratification, but actually is. Give an example. We all know, or you might know that example to, I don't know, example, you have the desire to eat something delicious. That's actually what your tongue wants to enjoy the taste, right? So that's straight away you know, okay, that's my sense gratification, means my tongue wants to relish the taste. Like to eat like 20 rasagulas, or to eat an incredible amount of cake, like this kind of thing. Not only a little bit, but like enjoying that taste. Just give an example. So this is bodily clear. Your body wants to enjoy. Your tongue wants to enjoy. But I give another example of mental sense gratification. For example, watch a video, watch a movie, or your mind wants to enjoy. Or for example, you want to hear some conversation, some topic, mundane conversation, like example, some people like to hear about the World Cup. So that's also sense gratification because your ears want to hear that. Or for example, you like to be praised, for example, and you feel happy being praised. So feeling happy, that's also mind, subtle sense gratification. So that's many things. Almost everything that the conditioned soul desires, in a daily basis, is sense gratification. Almost everything, except by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, if you get a good chance. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jiv Kona Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. If by the mercy of Guru and Krishna you get the Bhakti Lata, the seed of devotional service from Gurudeva by the initiation, then you are one of the fortunate souls that wander in this material world. You got that seed. And what is the seed of Bhakti? Krishna Seva Vasana, the desire to serve Krishna. So that's very, very rare to have that desire. And in the beginning stage, that desire is also mixed with so many desires of the sense gratification. Like example, I want to serve and for recognition, for example. Maybe you don't think that, but you like to be that somebody praise you if you do that service or this service. Or it's just so mixed with our material anarthas, right? But anyway, that desire is there underneath. The Gurudev gave you, like that desire to serve Krishna, which is actually in your soul, but now it's sleeping. But Gurudev awakes that. So you have to cultivate that. How? Shravana Kirtan Jale Karo Hasachan. By watering with chanting holy names and hearing Harikatha. And slowly, that desire to serve Krishna will increase more and more, which is the nature of the soul. So, both body and mentally enjoyments are considered bhukti. So what is sense gratification? Body enjoyment and mental enjoyment too, with your mind and body. To make an extraneous effort to remain free from disease. Very interesting. I'll repeat that. To make an extraneous effort to remain free from disease. So we know some people, they are like, I forgot the word. Like, they're very fit, right? But there's another word when too much into fitness. I forgot the word. Like always very there's a word for that. I forgot. Yeah. So make an extraneous effort to remain free from disease. To desire palatable foodstuffs. So we just described when your tongue wants to eat delicious dessert. When you want strength and power, wealth, followers, wife, sons and daughters, fame and victory are all considered bhukti. So if you want to have children, that's sense gratification. If you want followers on Instagram, that's sense gratification. If you want the likes in your photo on Instagram, desire for followers. If you want many friends, that's also desire. If you want to get married, also desire for sense gratification. Let's give an example. If you want fame, victory, this is desire for sense gratification. To desire to take one's next birth in a Brahmin family or in a royal family, to attain residence in the heavenly planets or Brahmalok, or to obtain any other type of happiness in one's next life is also considered bhakti, sense gratification. Wow. So we see this in many even religions, right? Around the world. People want to go to heaven to, enjoy and things like that. That's also desire for sense gratification. Even if you want to go to Brahmalok, to the abode of Lord Brahma, and then you do many charity, many austerities in this life, but actually your desire is also for sense gratification. In a subtle way, right? So those who are, example, drinking in a pub and being getting wasted, they also desire for sense gratification, but more like very gross and very like low kind of sense gratification. But they're also subtle and also sense gratification. It seems like very sophisticated sense gratification. You don't even think it is, but it's also so it seems like it's something different, but it's actually the same thing, just sophisticated. So, practice of the eightfold yoga system and to desire the 8 or 18 varieties of mystic perfections are also categorized as bhakti. Means, for example, some people, they perform austerities and they want to get powers, mystic perfections, like different powers, like superhero powers, X-Men powers. This yogi perfections, that's the proper word from the Vedas, mystic perfections. So it's just like what we see in the superhero X-Men movies, like becoming very small, very big, being able to be anywhere, being able to control the elements of nature, all that. So if you have that desire, that's also desire for sense gratification. The greed of bull for sense gratification forces the jiva, the soul, to become subordinate to the enemies, headed by lust and anger. So because we want to enjoy different kinds of sense gratification, we become subordinate to the 6 enemies, led by lust and anger. Envy easily takes over the heart of the jiva and rules it. So envy comes and takes control. Hence, to attain Shuddha Bhakti, one has to remain completely aloof from the desire of bhakti. Repeat. To attain Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service to Lord, one has to remain completely aloof from the desire for bhakti. Completely stay aloof from the desire for sense gratification. To abandon the desire for bhakti, how to abandon the desire for sense gratification? A conditioned soul need not reject the objects of the senses by going to reside in the forest. So, the way is not, for example, going to the forest, because there you would be far from all the objects of sense gratification. No. Merely going to reside in the forest or accepting the dress of a sannyasi will not free one from the desire for bhakti. If bhakti, devotion, resides in a devotee's heart, then even while living amidst the objects of the senses, he will be able to remain detached from them and will be capable of abandoning the desire for bhakti. Wow. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says, Ruchim mudahatas tatra janasya bhajane hare vishayeshu garisto apiraga prayo viliyate anashaktasya vishayam yatarham upayunjita nirbandha krishna sambade yuktam varyagam uchyate prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunaha mumukshubhi parityago vairagam falgu katyate. When the jiva develops a taste for Krishna bhajan, at that time, his excessive attachment for the objects of the senses starts gradually fading. Then, of detachment, he accepts the objects of the senses only according to his needs, those objects to be related to Krishna and behaving accordingly. This is called yukta vairag. The renunciation of those who desire liberation from matter, reject the objects of the senses, consider them to be illusory, is called falgu or useless. It is not possible for an embodied jiva to completely renounce the objects of the senses, but changing the enjoying tendency towards them while maintaining an understanding of their relation to Krishna cannot be called sense gratification. So, what he's saying here is about Yukta Vairagya. So he's saying that how to be free from the desire for bhakti. If bhakti, sense gratification, is completely against bhakti, right? Because bhakti is anyabhilashta shunyam, devoid of any other desire than to give pleasure to Krishna. Which are these other desires? Bhakti and mukti. Bhakti means sense gratification, mukti means liberation. So how to be far from the desire from bhakti? Is it enough going to the forest and being far from the objects of the senses? No. No, because even if you are there in the forest, if you have the desire to enjoy, that will still continue in your heart. You will enjoy, for example, a mango that you take from the tree. You will enjoy bathing in the waterfall, for example, in the forest. And just give an example. But if you want to serve Lord, even if you're in the middle of like Disneyland or in the middle of Miami, in the Maya world, still, if you have the desire to serve Krishna, you'll serve all the time, even if you're in the middle of the sense gratification. Because the thing is not the objects of the senses. The thing is, how is your mood? So that's what he's saying. That's why he quoted now Rupa Goswami explaining Yukta Vairagya. So this is a very important concept. Yukta Vairagya. Yukta with Y, U-K-T-A, Vairagya. Vairagya means renunciation, but the real meaning of Vairagya means viraga, special attachment to Lord. So if you have that special attachment to Lord, automatically you'll renounce the things of this world. So in the process of bhakti, instead of withdrawing completely our senses from all kinds of material objects, no. What do? We engage our senses in material objects related to Lord. Give an example. We'll stop eating. No, we will cook the food, offer to Bhagavan, and that Mahaprashadam we'll take. So that object of the sense, which is the food for the tongue, now became spiritualized, being offered to Krishna by accepting that with faith, and whatever is necessary for you, then you accept. Give an example. That food you offer to Krishna, and then now that food you can take according to your necessity. Yukta Vairagya means don't take too much, not too little. Like not too much, otherwise you have some disease or become fat, or also not too little, otherwise you also don't undereat. Like if you need that food for your body, you eat it, But of course, in the beginning stage, what happens? Still even have that Yukta Vairagya. Sometimes, right? We still want to eat the delicious dessert more than we should because we just cannot control your tongue. Just give an example. What should you do? Offer that food to Krishna, continue offering with faith. And Gurudeva says, Akanta Purya Karo Prashada Seva Nachagam Bhakta Sangha Koro Krishna Sankirtan. Okay, take prashad as much as you want, until your neck, before vomiting. But dance with the devotees in the kirtan. Means, okay, even if you want to eat a lot, you like to eat delicious food, do that for Krishna. Make all that delicious food, offer to Krishna, serve the devotees with that delicious food. If you still want to eat that delicious food a lot, okay, eat a lot, but do the seva, chant holy names, dance, jump, do everything for Krishna. Then slowly, the desire to, for example, to enjoy, it will decrease because you're taking the Mahaprasad and you have to have faith in the Mahaprasad, honoring Mahaprasad. Slowly this tendency will go. And but of course, the proper mind attitude, slowly we have to accept this new mind frame, which is, this is Mahaprasad. This is not for my enjoyment. Everything offered to Krishna is delicious. Like last time in Kartik, my Gurudeva, he gave me he told us off. Because even he was telling us, because especially in India, we have too much this spicy prashadam issue, let's say like that. Because we have the prashada, the food in India they cook generally is with so much, it's really spicy. Indians generally they cook with a lot of chili, means red pepper, green chili. So for those who are not used to eating food spicy food, it's really, really hard to eat and digest, right? Because they really are used to that. So it's really spicy, generally, everything. So if you're not used to, it's really hard. Okay. So you who haven't been to India doesn't know yet, but Lalit Mohini, when you go, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So they generally prepare food separately for Westerners because we cannot take chili. So they call spicy prashadam non-spicy or chili no chili, okay? But then what happens is sometimes, like for example, not sometimes unfortunately they don't make the non-chili. Generally they try to make, fingers crossed, but sometimes they don't. And then what happened generally, like Westerners like me or maybe some other devotees, we're like, that spicy, the prasadam, like we little bit make a, how to say in English, like little bit looking down at Mahaprasadam because it's spicy, let's say like that. And then in last Kartik we were there, and then Gurudev told us off so much. He's like, you should try to develop your mind frame. Okay, you're in the beginning, you're saying this, but now how many years you're coming here? You have to develop. Mahaprasad is Mahaprasadam. If it's spicy or not, it's off being offered to Thakurji. That's the mercy of the Lord. But Gurudev said, I'm not telling you to take it if it's not suitable for your health. Of course not. You take what is suitable for your health. But don't neglect or do like a kind of a looking down, like you can, with honor. Oh, this Mahaprasad is very nice. Mahaprasad, I mean, this, of course, the mercy of the Lord, like always with honor and respect and love, is not suitable for my body, that's why I'll not take. So like you see the problem in yourself, not in the Mahaprasad, like, oh, it's spicy, So then he said, you have to develop your consciousness. You cannot say like this forever. Like, no, Mahaprasad is always Mahaprasad. And then, of course, you accept whatever is suitable for you. So the main thing of Yukta Vairagya means renunciation, appropriate renunciation. That's the translation. Which means, example, maybe some yogi people, they will not wear any blanket, any hoodie, nothing. They're like, oh no, I'll stay in the cold because I'm a yogi. Control, I shouldn't feel like be harmed by cold, feeling cold, so they stay like that. But the devotee is like, no. What does he think? I need to take care of my body because my body is to serve Krishna. So if I don't wear like a hoodie or like a jumper, I'll be sick. And then I won't be able to serve Krishna. So I can just wear a jumper or a hoodie or a shawl and be protected from the cold. And in this way, I'll be able to serve Krishna. So it doesn't matter like if you're accepting or not the objects of the senses. You accept them as long as they are favorable for you to maintain your health. That in that way will help you in the service of Krishna. You know what I mean? So you accept. Yukta Vairagya, proper renunciation is you accept the objects of material objects with the detachment, accepting only what is favorable for you in the amount which is necessary, and in this understanding that all of them belong to Krishna. Like the food, the prashadam belongs to Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. You're just taking care and using whatever necessary Krishna is giving for whatever is favorable for your spiritual life. Do you understand? This is called Yukta Vairagya. And then he said here, those who reject the objects of the senses, consider them to be illusory, is called Phagyu or useless. So this other kind of renunciation called Phalgu Vairagya. Phalgu, Phalgu. Phalgu Vairagya means useless renunciation or fake renunciation. Phalgu is the name of a river that exists in India, which flows under the surface. So from the top, it seems very shallow, but actually the main stream of the water is flowing under the soil. So what is the meaning? Like, oh, maybe externally you're not accepting the sense gratification, the objects of the senses, but actually the desires is still there. The tendency to enjoy is still there, so it actually is useless. So, then Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur explains, it's not possible for a soul, for an embodied jiva, announce the objects of the senses, because we are surrounded by them all the time. But changing the enjoying tendency towards them while maintaining an understanding of their relation to Krishna cannot be called sense gratification. Do you understand? Like I remember one thing that happened in my life. Gurudeva was caressing a cow and smiling, and then somebody took this photo of Gurudeva caressing a cow and smiling. And at that time, I was trying to tell to my mother. As soon I had just met Gurudeva recently in my life, and then I was trying to explain that there's no happiness in this world. Gurudeva, actually, he's only happy with the with Krishna, with Bhakti. Nothing in this world makes difference for him because he's always absorbed in the in Krishna. And then the example my mother gave. She's like a non-devotee, right? She said, "Oh, but isn't he feeling happy caressing this cow? You see, he's caressing the cow and smiling." And then I still remember that because that was like interesting logic. Her brain was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh." Then I said, "Look, but it's different. It's different. The cow belongs to Krishna. And the cow makes him remember Krishna. He thinks this cow belongs to Krishna, so he's still happy with Krishna. Means the only source of happiness for Gurudeva is bhakti, of course, bhajan, serving the Lord. And then whatever is also making him remember Krishna more and more, then he'll become also happy. But he's always happy already. But it's just like he'll remember Krishna and that will make him more happy. So that's the meaning. Everything's related to Krishna. The devotees see everything related to Krishna. So how to differentiate a material conditioned soul from a liberated soul? You can see maybe liberated souls also living in this world, like Gurudeva, for example. So what is the difference between him and us? Of course, sky and heaven, sky and earth with difference. But the verse that describes is, he had Jasya Haredase, Karmanamana Sagira, Nikilaswapi Avastanam, Sarva Jiva Mukta Soyuchati. Means that person, Samiha Jasa Haredase, that all the time he's thinking, I'm the servant of Krishna. Everything in this world belongs to Krishna. Nothing is mine. Everything belongs to Krishna. And then he serves Krishna with his body, mind, and words. That person is a liberated soul. So that person that really feels like nothing is mine, actually everything belongs to Krishna. But he's not feeling, everything's illusion. No, he's thinking everything belongs to Krishna. And I'm also the servant of Krishna. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, Rupa, what is the meaning of Rupa? Rupa means form. Form. Rasa, taste. Gandha, smell. Sparsha, touch. Shabda, sound. So we know the English now, right? This is objects of the senses, right? Our senses, ears, nose, touch, the 5 objects of the senses. We should try to perceive the world in such a way that it appears related to Krishna. Meaning that we should see all jivas, all the souls, as servants and made servants of Krishna. See gardens and rivers as pleasurable sporting places for Krishna. See that all types of eatables are to be used as an offering for his pleasure. In all types of aromas, perceive the aroma of Krishna Prasadam. In the same way, see that all types of flavors are to be relished by Krishna. See that all the elements we touch are related to Krishna. And hear only Harikatha or narrations describing the activities of his great devotees. When a devotee develops such an outlook, then he will no longer see the objects of the senses as being separate from Bhagavan himself. The tendency to enjoy the happiness obtained from sense gratification intensifies the desire for bhakti within the heart of a devotee and ultimately deviates him from the path of bhakti. On the other hand, by accepting all the objects of this world as instruments to be employed in Krishna's service, the desire for bhakti is completely eradicated from the heart, thus allowing Shuddha Bhakti to manifest there. As it is imperative to abandon the desire for bhakti, it is equally important to abandon the desire for mukti, for liberation. So now he'll start describing the desire for liberation, and we'll leave it for next week. Wow. So very, very important. So we can see that example here in this first chapter. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur quoted the verse that defines pure bhakti made by Rupa Goswami, but he didn't come in details of the... he's coming in details a little bit, but example, Anabhilashta Shunyam Gyana Karmadhyana Vritam, he told about it but different points even that are described in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. So I suggest also from Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, we should also read the explanation of this first verse, which some commentaries are there from Srila Vishnu Thakur, some important points that are not here. But here he's also saying even many other very, very nice, important comments and points of view. So, especially what we are discussing, the part, in the first class we spoke about the meaning of Bhakti, intrinsic nature of Bhakti, which is Krishna Anukulena, Krishna Anushilanam, cultivation, Amanushilanam, of activities that are for the exclusive pleasure of Krishna in a favorable way. Anukulena, he told this. Then now he's discussing about Anabilashtashunyam, being free from any other desire. He's more in this part. He's describing in depth this part, the first term of the verse, Anabilashtashunyam, which means being devoid of any other desire. So which other desire? No desire for bhukti, sense gratification, no desire for mukti. So now in details he describes bhukti desires. How to be free from desire for sense gratification, bhukti, when we see that all things are related to Krishna, all objects of the senses are related to Krishna, everything in this world belongs to Krishna. I'm only a caretaker. Krishna gives me, Krishna takes back. Only use, everything belongs to him, so I should just use for his service. In this way, we can be free from this desire to enjoy. So if anyone has any question, I'd like to make any comment or any kind of correction, please write down. Otherwise, we'll continue next Wednesday. Read more. The main, one of the main tattva that this book describes is still to come. So when we come to that, we can make some kind of diagrams and things like that to like a better study, especially when he speaks about Chaya, Bhakti Abhas, Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas, like different kinds of things which are not pure bhakti. I think it's chapter 2 he'll describe. Okay, so Vanchakalptarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Srila Gurudeva ki jai, Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur ki jai, Param Gurudeva Srila Nitya Pravista Srila Bhaktivedanta Srila Narayana Goswami Maharaja ki jai. May they bless us so that we can meditate on this tattva siddhanta and that we can always remember whatever we heard today at all the times, that everything belongs to Krishna and we should use everything for his service. Jai Srila Gurudeva ki jai.